Chuck, I love that you said that there are local things happening there. Tell us about the protest and the strike that's happening at Howard University. What's going on there?
Right. So last week, the Howard faculty, adjunct faculty, and non-tenured faculty announced that they would go on strike yesterday, that they plan to go on strike because they're so severely underpaid, like a lot of adjunct faculty, but seriously at Howard. And as everyone knows, this comes off the Blackburn takeover protests back in November and December, where young people camped out for over a month.
That's right.
In tents to protest the housing. And what happened is at the 11th hour at 3:30 a.m. yesterday, they reached a resolution before the strike was to happen at 9 a.m. So there was a significant victory as far as raising salaries for over 300 non-tenured and adjunct staff. Don't tell me protests don't work. Don't tell me threats to strike don't work. It doesn't mean that they've reached the promised land. There's still issues to work out, and it still has to be ratified, but it's a rare linear win.
That's what's up. That is
what do you think them being underpaid? I mean, I think that's something that's been probably an issue, especially at these universities. But do you think it has also to do with what's been happening in the recent events, like the pandemic and things like that? Are those things that you think have been a factor in them continuously being underpaid, especially in that particular time, those major times?
Yeah, well, there's the COVID pandemic. And then there's the DC gentrification pandemic, which also brings up cost of living pandemic. All of these things conspired. So to put a fine point on it, one of the metrics that Howard was using to gauge salaries was to have like 250 schools, whether they were in North Carolina or far away. Well, we all know the DC cost of living is way higher than a lot of these schools. So when they compared the DC salaries for adjunct professors at Howard, they weren't using the 9 DC universities, which they should have. So what happened is they were getting the lowest pay of all those 9 universities. Not only that, but getting the lowest pay of all the HBCUs, no matter where they were. Most of them that had a much lower cost of living. So you had professors who had PhDs making like $40,000 and driving an Uber and having a third job, and that was not uncommon. So, I mean, it was really bad. It was really, really bad. And we saw some of those professors show solidarity back in November for the students, and that there was incredible student and non-tenured faculty solidarity. And we have to make sure we understand the difference between a tenured professor and a non-tenured professor that usually, make peanuts.
No, that's peanuts for sure. I would hate to say that I work for the most prestigious university. Well, one of them, because FAMU is the prestigious. But I work from one of the most prestigious universities. This is a historical university, and I have a PhD, and I'm getting paid $40,000 a year. And I got to add on to that to do Uber on the side on the weekends to take these little kids that I be teaching, right? At the school.
Oh my God.
Well,
I didn't even think about that, Rebecca.
And they're like, is that Mr. Phillips? And it's just like,
that's horrible.
It's a shame. It's horrible.
Is that Dr. Phillips?
You had 7 years to get your PhD. So some students told me they made more in their full-time job than their professor. I mean, what is that?
Wow.
It's an embarrassment. It's really sad. It's really, really sad. And I'm glad that there is a strike going on. I'm glad that they're making movement towards this. I remember when people were afraid to do things like this because they were afraid of losing their job or things like that happen. But no, I love that they're doing this because there has to be a stop to this. I don't want anybody to ever go through the whole phase of being like a teacher or an educator and not being able. They're educating me to go on and be better and not being able to pay for their housing, their food. We already have to do that every day. We're here being taught by you so that we don't have to go through the same thing. You should not have to. And I don't think any professor or any educator should be going through this at all. So, yeah.
No,
that's right.
I feel that. Chuck, go ahead, Chuck.
Well, I just wanted to add, there are layers to this. Some of it is unique to Howard's leadership that showed up back in November, but some of it is really systemic. So yesterday, American University had their own protest for their adjunct professors who are making less than $4,000 per course. So you're seeing solidarity, and I think you're going to see more of this because as universities become more corporatized, adjunct professors, more of them are being hired because you could pay them less, you could not give them benefits, and they end up working at 2-3 universities in DC. So I think we have a larger systemic problem in addition to what was going on at Howard.
Yeah,
that's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I hope that something really comes of it instead of just a conversation. Because I know they put out the letter, and they're going to talk, and the strikes are off. I don't want them to try to think that this is going to hold off time to make them give them time to look better in the media, for them to talk to their PR people, for them to just kind of get them out of the streets really quick while they figure something out. No, people are different now. I think people are privy to a lot of that stuff, so they'll be back in the streets if the conversation ain't worth nothing.
Oh yeah.
Howard, if it doesn't go the right way, I promise you the Howard faculty and the students will be back protesting. I can make that a guarantee.
Right. Okay. Matter of fact, let's look at this clip. Let's look at B1. It's an alumni member, a Howard alumni member that led the Howard strike, and a student who supported the strike. Let's see this energy.
It's been a long time coming. It's taken a lot of work from a lot of different people to get here. My colleagues, my fellow non-tenure track folks, but also tenure track colleagues, students have been key to this. The alums have been key to this. The broader community has been really important. We are still waiting to make sure everything goes through. It definitely involves a significant wage increase that I think when we release it to our bargaining unit members, I think people will be very pleased with. I was very pleased to see it. Core of things is us holding on to people who care about this university, who care about these students, and to know that we've lost so many over the last 4 years, and that we may continue to lose some. That hurts. That hurts a lot. And so there's some bittersweetness to it. For the university, I think this is a big victory. This is really important to say, is that there are some issues going on with how students are being treated right now. I know that some of our students are being hit with handbook violations. It's really disappointing seeing our students being hit with these attacks just for speaking out, for doing exactly what we're here to teach them to do.
It was so disheartening to me. I'm a full-time student, but I also have 2 jobs. I work a full-time job and I have a part-time job. And to hear some faculty telling me how low their salary was, it was insane to me. Not that I'm not deserving of, my salary, but there were moments where I'm sitting in a classroom and I'm being taught by an instructor, and I know that my salary is more than theirs. That's really hard to wrap my head around.
And they have a PhD.
And they have a PhD. We have all these factions of Howard that are dealing with all of these issues, and we all keep feeling like we're not being heard. And it was good to see that they got a win. I believe that there is strength in numbers and there's shared struggle. These are the people that pour into us. These are the people that teach us. These are the people that help find us housing, help the things that you don't think that professors are doing, they're doing behind the scenes. So of course we're going to stand in solidarity with them. We're going to collect their struggle. We're going to keep supporting each other, because the alumni, the faculty, the students, if you don't have those factions together, you don't have Howard University.